Howdy, folks. Welcome back to Did You Pack Snacks? This is a family travel podcast. My name is Colin.
And I'm Meg.
And we are so excited to be back. We've gone for a little bit. I know you've missed us. Just calm down. I know you've missed us.
We were gone for 1 week.
I know, but people need that consistency, Megan.
That's true.
We'll tell you why in a second. But today's episode, we're going to chat to you about all things Croatia, all things Montenegro, all things Bosnia, really mostly just Croatia. We took day trips to the other places, but nonetheless, it is a great part of Europe that is beautiful, packed with a lot of gems and a lot of good times for the family.
That's right. And we also have some burning questions that we're going to read from you, our loyal listeners.
We call them burning questions. Let's just say why. Because we just like to... We act as if like people are dying to know the answers to these. So they just make us feel good, okay? They're just questions. They're not burning. But for the sake of our ego, we're going to call them burning questions. No, it's just
the name of this segment is Burning Questions.
Yeah, there might be some hot takes in there.
And we've got lots of life updates.
Yeah.
Lots of things going on, which, you know, maybe you're interested in that. Maybe skip to minute 5 and you don't have to listen to anything about our life. Up to you.
All right, so before we get into all that, we're going to go with the high-low buffaloes because it's been a minute. It's been a minute, and I'll go ahead and start us off. My high, I'm going to combine my highs and lows because my highs has been, I watched the best 28 minutes of television I've seen this week, courtesy of Ludo Studios in Brisbane, Australia. Bluey episode, I don't know what the episode name is, but they just released a 28-minute episode, and it is like everything you want it to be. Like, I cried, I laughed out loud. If you have not joined in on the Bluey Train, like, please do so. Start from season 1, episode 1, and just take off your critic hat for a little bit and just be a kid.
I mean, you are such a super fan that the way that you and the girls talk about Bluey, I've seen probably 90% of the episodes. Like occasionally.
You've glanced at 90%. Okay. You haven't watched it.
Okay. But the way that I like the show. It's just because it's kind of become you and the girls thing. But you guys will reference episodes by their actual title. Like, Charlotte will be like, oh, what's the one where Chili does this? And Colin will shout from the other room, the bathroom episode, or like the official title of
Burger Shop,
whatever. I just think it's
Mom School.
Yeah. It's
Hammer
really,
Barn. We call Lowe's Hammer Barn. I don't call it Lowe's. I call it Hammer Barn.
It's really cute. But the episode is significant because if you don't watch, all of the other episodes are like 5 minutes long.
Yes.
So this is like a major motion picture when it pertains to this show.
And it is everything. Like, if you love Downton Abbey, you're going to love this. You're going to cry, laugh. Every knot that is loose will be tightened with a bow on top. There you have it. And
a little bit more significant if you are a fan of the show, because they do have some hints back to other characters and like...
Lots of callbacks, lots of Easter eggs. There's a wedding, there's drama, everything.
There's everything.
Anyway, so that's also my low because I'm like sad that it was not enough. Even though we have 3 seasons worth of like seriously parenting gold and memories and laughter. And so I'm glad that it's not over. So it's my high and my low. My buffalo is my legs are so sore because yesterday I played soccer for the first time with like actual humans on the field wearing cleats. And I even scored a goal. And so I am just, my body's sore. And I like to tell people, don't you just love telling people your body's sore?
Yeah.
Like that's
it's like it's a
I
brag.
went to the gym. I did this hard thing.
I exercise.
Acknowledge me.
Yeah.
But that, regardless of that, I just had a lot of fun. It was the most physically taxing thing I've done in a long time. But like, it was just fun. It was just fun. Life-giving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Happy for you.
So for all you adults out there, like, go back to the sports that you played as a kid every now and then. Like, try your best to, like, find that. And it didn't take long. Like, I had just text one buddy that I knew played soccer, and I was in, you know? So go find that thing, guys. Please, it'll make you happy. Megan?
I don't know if I'm going to do them in proper order either, but I will say maybe the combo of a high and a buffalo is that the reason we took last week off, well, actually, this kind of is just going to explain everything in a second.
Wow.
But the reason we took a week off is because our niece, she's 17. Her name's Faye. She just arrived here from Malaysia last week.
Bah, bah, bah.
And we've spent the last few days just getting her situated. She's living with us for the next 6 months. We're excited, but we're also transitioning our family dynamic to having to care and account for 2 little people to just considering a teenager now, just overnight parents of teenagers. That's what we talk about before we're falling asleep.
I know. Who are we?
Is how to encourage and love on a teenager. Anyway, we're really excited that she's here. But we took the week off just because it was a busy little stint Colin had to go get her from Philly, all the things. So, also, that's the reason why we're taking a quick little break from videoing these podcasts. Probably most of you just listen to our voices, but for the few of you that actually like to watch them.
For those of you who missed our studio/guest room, we don't have a guest room anymore.
Right. It's her room. So we're recording at the kitchen table right now. We have plans this summer to convert our outdoor shed into a studio office space.
That's right.
But until that's done, we're probably just going to nix the video because I'm going to be real with you. I can't send my kids to co-op, eat breakfast, and then clean my house just to record a podcast. That's too many.
Too much.
It's too much. So
we're going to make the absence, we're going to make it let your heart grow fonder. I'm butchering the quote.
Yeah.
Distance makes the heart grow
fonder.
Is that a real word?
Yeah.
Okay.
Fonder is
I want to say yonder. But when we come back though,
yeah,
like the studio is gonna be amazing.
Lit. That's what the
we're
kids
going
say.
for. Ew, Megan. We're gonna go for like a Scandi Faroe Islands hut on the outside, but then on the inside it's gonna be like modern travel something. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. The last thing I want to say, I don't know where it fits in my triad of high-low buffalo, but I just want to talk about it.
Yeah.
And there will be a certain select group of listeners that are going to feel my excitement, and I promise that I'll come back with a review.
Oh.
But I have wanted something to properly clean our floors for so long. And I just purchased a little steam mop, and I'm pretty stoked about it. And I just walked in the kitchen this morning and I saw these different spots on the floors, and I thought,
that I don't see. To me, they don't exist.
oh gosh. Well,
Megan thinks our floors are gross. I'm like, I sweep it every day.
it's not the sweeping, it's the lack of scrubbing.
I know what you mean. I just
Okay, well, I just want you to know, I looked at them and I thought, 48 hours, baby. 48 hours and you're going to be gone because my mom's coming. So I feel pretty stoked about that this morning. So just had to share with you guys, let you know how it goes.
Cool. The part where everyone's going to be like, I just wasted 2 minutes of my life listening to your mop.
Oh, man.
All right, let's get to it, y'all. Croatia,
Wait,
Montenegro.
no. We have a burning question.
Oh, right. How could I leave people hanging? People
well,
are dying to know.
People are dying to know what somebody asked.
Especially Kelly. Kelly, thanks for writing us on the DMs. We love questions, y'all.
Yeah.
Feel free to send it to us. Feel free to send a voice memo if you want to be featured on this podcast. If you want to hear your voice along our voices. Go ahead and do that. It's super fun. But Kelly wrote us an essay, and we wrote an essay back.
Yeah, and it's really sweet. She's a listener of the show. She has kids similar to the ages of our kids. So she was just sharing how it's fun to get travel inspiration for a similar season of life. But her specific question was that they're considering doing a trip this upcoming September and wondering how we decide how much time to spend in a certain place with our kids. She just so happens to be, she didn't know we were doing the podcast on this part of the world this week.
No.
But she's looking at going to Slovenia, Croatia, and Montenegro for 3 weeks and having a hard time figuring out their exact itinerary.
Which, can we pause? Like, how serendipitous is that? Like, on our Excel sheet, this was the episode that we're going to air this week.
Right. And she just happened to have questions.
Yeah.
Wow. Some things to note before we reply are that they are planning on getting a rental car. They're interested in finding a balance between slow travel and really, moving along and like cramming a bunch in. And they just want to keep it interesting for their entire family. So what insight you got for Kelly, Colin?
Yeah, she said she didn't want to burn out the kids with like lots of driving, but then also make it fun.
Right.
Also want to maximize the time, but don't want to go too slow. And so I told her that we kind of have this natural rhythm because of my work. Like, it's a little bit different. Everything doesn't just shut down and we get to go on a trip 100%. I usually take work with me. And so, we try to go slow on the busier days, like during the week. And then on the weekends, we just go hard. So those are like our long driving days, or those are the days we are at a theme park, or we are at, we try to hit like 2-3 things in a day. But on the weekdays, we try to just have one thing on the itinerary and maybe drive like an hour and a half. And so that's kind of built into our rhythm, and it's the same rhythm as we have at home. I told her that booking refundable hotels and stays has also helped us when we need to pivot. Like there's been times where we go to someplace and then there's a hurricane and we have to get off an island. And so, luckily when you book things with points and miles, it's a lot more flexible, but also just check for cancellation policies. If you're booking an Airbnb, always look at the cancellation policy. We just don't like Airbnbs where people are like, you're not getting a cent back. And so we try to steer away from those. And of course, our magic formula is if there's like water, like a beach or a pool, or if there is a playground nearby or a big backyard or a field, like we stay longer just to give the kids a break. I told Kelly, hey, look out for your youngest or the kid that has extra, I don't know, maybe they don't travel as well as their siblings. Look out for that kid or that parent that doesn't like to travel. And then just accommodate, like, your family best, so just like go at that pace. And the biggest thing is like, don't give in to that pressure that you need to see everything. Maybe some things that maybe you care about that other people just don't, and be open to like nixing it.
Yeah.
There's been so many times where I'm like, I really want to do this and this and this. And Megan's like, let's pick one that's worth it. But yeah, make those memories. Don't give in to that social media pressure to see everything. Oh, this is like, I saw this on a reel once, or, I've stood in line for 2 hours to get this photo. Like all that is just, don't do that.
Yeah. I think the tip too that you said without really saying this is my number one tip is just to find a balance between days that you're doing long stints of travel and days where you're resting. But just kind of spreading out the days where you're commuting with some days where you can just walk to the place that you wanted to see, hang out at the beach. Because it just feels nice when you're on vacation. Like, we're the people, we get it. We love to go from one place to another and pack as much in as we can. But living the experience, I never regret booking 2 nights in the same place. Like not having to pack everything up when you wake up in the morning and getting to stay in a hotel for 2 nights feels like a treat on a trip that long.
Yeah, and maybe even check out our previous episode on how to rest during the trip. Again, we are not experts at all this. We have traveled a lot, and we have done these crazy trips where like some trips we didn't see a lot. Some trips we maximize every second of it. Your family best. Go with that.
Yeah, September is going to be beautiful there because leading into our episode, we explored that part of the world a little bit later in the year. We were there in November, which again, if you're like a budget traveler, this happens to us all the time. Like we showed up and how do you say the coast of Italy? The
Amalfi?
No, and then the little cute cities.
Positano?
Yeah, but there's a name for like the 5 of them.
Oh, Cinque Terre.
Yes. Okay. I knew I was going to say like Cinco or something embarrassing. But we explored that part of Italy and I don't even remember what month it was, but it was off season. It's known for being like bustling in the summer and these cute little beach towns, and it was beautiful when we went, but it was cold. Nobody was on the beaches hanging out. And anyway, that's kind of the same with our experience in Croatia and Montenegro. Those countries kind of thrive and come alive tourist wise in the summer because they're coastal cities. You're experiencing the ocean and islands and the beach. And when we were there, towards the end of the season, there were a couple locals that were like, "So why are you here now?" And I said, "Well, plane tickets were really cheap."
It is a drastic contrast.
Yeah.
Like same goes with Croatia. Same goes with all these places. In the summer, it is like glorious, like beautiful. And then like literally in the winter, it looks deserted, abandoned, like literal trash on the beach in a lot of places that we went to.
Well, they just don't upkeep some of the things as much.
No, it's almost like we're hibernating.
Yeah.
That's an old life. And then come spring, come summer, all of a sudden, this dead place has a bar, a restaurant, like chairs and umbrellas laid out, and it's beautiful. So the contrast is very stark.
Yeah, but even going at that time of year, we enjoyed it. We just didn't get the full like romanticized experience of little beach cafes.
Yeah, the water was still turquoise and beautiful and all that.
Right.
From the pictures, you wouldn't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm still dying to be in Italy in the summer one of these days.
It's going to happen.
It's going to happen, Meg.
All right.
I believe it.
Now kick us off with we kind of just already started getting into it, but.
Okay. So as we do with every destination deep dive, we do a vibe check on this place. And so we're going to focus on Croatia the most because we spent a month living there based in Dubrovnik. And then we took day trips all around. And so we'll start with Croatia. It is a great alternative to Italy. People always say, don't go to Italy, go to Croatia. And yes, agreeable, but it's still not Italy. It's still not, like, every place is unique. So don't just
It doesn't replace Italy, but it does have a similar vibe.
So yeah, similar vibe, still different. Prices were not exactly cheap. Like coffees were cheap. Gelato was cheap. But I found that prices were not expensive either. We got maybe it was because it was November, but we got an Airbnb Plus in Dubrovnik. So this beautiful Airbnb in the old city, like within the walls, for $2,100 for the whole month, which I thought was a really good deal. We rented cars on the weekends to go to all these places, and they were like about $100. Once you add in insurance, car seats, all that kind of stuff. It's very cheap to fly to from Europe. Like all of them do it. We did a Transavia flight, which is like the budget airline of KLM. There's Jetstar, Ryanair. And so if you're already in Europe and you want to go and you want to add a couple more days in a different country, this would be a good place to go to. Say you are going to Paris this summer and you're going for the Olympics, you got the city vibe, and you're like, I want to go to like a coastal town and see some turquoise waters, go to an island, hop on a quick flight, head to Split, and from there you can get on a ferry to great islands. English is widely spoken. We had no trouble navigating the country at all. All the signs were in the local language and in English, and everyone spoke it. Road trip rating, RTR, is a 10 out of 10. Great highways. You're not taking like windy roads here and there. And like beautiful toll roads, great gas stations that has everything you need. It's super easy. So that's the vibe check on Croatia. Now we're going to break down all the places that we went to during the month. Like I said, we stayed in the old city of Dubrovnik. It's not just the old city. From what we learned, I thought it was just like the circle and like buildings, and that was Dubrovnik. But no, Dubrovnik actually has a town, hotels, like it's an actual like city.
Yeah.
And then there's an old city part.
Right. And we stayed, like Colin said, in an Airbnb within the walls. And then a couple of things to note about staying in the old city, because I I will say that if you're going to Dubrovnik for just 2 or 3 days, I think it's personally worth it to stay in the old city.
Yes.
Just because it's such a unique experience. But some things to note about it that we didn't know. You can't park inside the walls. So cars are not allowed inside. So if you're renting an Airbnb, just make sure that if you have a rental car, you ask if they have a parking spot to accommodate your car, because you're not going to be able to bring it in with you, which leads me to point number 2. You should also ask about the journey to your Airbnb, because the old city is basically built on the side of a mountain, and it is just known for having lots and lots and lots and lots of stairs.
The way it's built is like a little funnel.
Right.
So all the apartments and housing is at the top of the hill, and then everyone walks down 200 steps, and that's the main square, the main strip where all the restaurants and coffee shops are.
Yeah. And I mean, we stayed at the top and we'd go down to the bottom to eat. And it was kind of a joke even with the girls that we just take our time walking up the stairs, because it was a journey, but it was also part of the experience. So just something to be mindful of if you're bringing a lot of luggage. A good question to ask your Airbnb host is, how are you going to get your bodies and your luggage into your Airbnb?
Yeah.
And then what was another thing that I was going to say?
I just wanted to shout out to our Airbnb host too, because we arrived at night, and because we were traveling the world the whole year that year, we had giant suitcases.
Yeah.
And so we got to the Dubrovnik airport. It was already dark out, but I asked if we could hire, that was our tip while traveling, because a lot of Ubers didn't have that huge trunk space. I always asked, like, could you provide like a driver? And so he came with a minivan. And then because it was a little hard to navigate to in the old city, the host came out, carried our bags, and took us, because the road is just like windy. There's like a million different alleyways, and they brought us right to our Airbnb.
Yeah, which had a beautiful view. We should link that Airbnb.
Yeah, we even made a YouTube video about it.
Yeah, we did. It was so beautiful. The last thing that I'll say is just being in the old city. What's that popular TV show that was filmed there?
Game of Thrones.
Yeah, I never watched it.
No, me
but
neither.
There were scenes that were filmed so you can take a tour. I just thought it was one of the most unique places that we lived, because there was so much history. It just looked really different. I mean, it just looked like you were stepping back in time. There was just nothing like it, really. I just thought it was such a unique experience. So even with maybe the frustration of figuring out how to get your luggage to where you're staying or climbing upstairs for a few days, I definitely think it's worth staying there. That's just my 2 cents.
Things to do in Dubrovnik.
Yeah.
You can pay a small fee to walk around the entire perimeter of the city. Please do that. It's a gorgeous walk. It'll take you like an hour or 2 with stops. You want to take as many photos as you can. There are beaches to the left and to the right of Dubrovnik that you can go to, that in the summer months, maybe early spring, maybe late spring, early fall, there'll be restaurants and bars open. There's even a bar that is kind of hidden on the most, like, facing the ocean. There's like this little door that you can get to, and there's a bar underneath. I forget the name, but look that up. There is, if you come outside the wall, there's a great like Asian grocery store. I know no one cares about this, but to me, it was like so cool that they had one. Great restaurants, great pizza shops. Another thing to do that is super popular is there is a cable car ride that you get to the top of the mountain. You get to a viewpoint and you can see the old city in all its glory, that iconic view. So that is a must do in Dubrovnik.
Yeah, definitely stay there. Okay, some of the trips that we took, like Colin said, our rhythm was to kind of hang tight during the weekdays, and then come the weekend, we try to explore. So one of the weekends, we took a day trip to the country of Montenegro. It was only a 2-hour drive from Dubrovnik, so totally doable. And the drive there was beautiful. We did experience some winding roads, but they were well taken care of. And we just got to drive by these different like bays and inlets. I mean, we were literally on the coast of like mountains the whole time, just following the coastline. And then we arrived in the city of
Kotor.
When we got there, We kind of did a little bargaining for a boat ride. We went out in the bay. It was private. I don't remember if it's because we paid for private or we were just the only ones there.
I think, yeah, because it was November.
Yeah, I think
that was the guy that was like, why are you here?
Oh, okay. That was really beautiful. I mean, the bay, the water is just like the most beautiful color blue, and yeah, it was just beautiful. You have the mountains behind you. They also have an old city. So, you know, you see these big, beautiful ancient walls, and we got to walk inside. We ate lunch in there. We took different pictures and walked around and experienced some of the tiny little shops selling everything from Christmas ornaments to...
Oh, you love those Christmas ornaments.
I love a good Christmas ornament.
Forget all the other shops. You're trying to find the one that has ornaments.
But we did shop for a while, which was really fun. And yeah, I mean, we just really hung out right there all day. And we talked to a lot of locals. He was telling us different stories about previous war tunnels and unrest that has happened in the region, but then also how he thinks that Montenegro is one of the most like undiscovered places in the world. Yeah. Like just that it's beauty and the amount of hikes that you can go on and things that you can do. And like I said, the coastline's beautiful and you have this gorgeous water. And so I just loved getting to hear more about, why he loves it, why people come there. And I just thought it was so cool that we drove 2 hours and we got to experience a different culture, another country. And it was definitely doable for a day trip. You could even spend a night there and make it a weekend getaway.
Yeah.
But it was awesome.
Yeah. And if you are a drone flyer, like this is heaven. You know, so many beautiful spots to do. We even took the drone out while we were on the boat. I will say the drive to Kotor is stunning. Like one of the most beautiful drives we've ever done. If you've ever been to Yosemite National Park, or just if not, if you know what it looks like, imagine those towering cliffs, like as high as that. And your car is just this tiny little car winding around that with water. Like just so beautiful. And, I mean, the mountains are just, I think it's so underrated. Like no one talks about it. I'm sure people around that region know about it and it's beautiful. It's also a stop for like a cruise ship. So a lot of people stop in Kotor Bay. So yeah, definitely take a day trip to Montenegro. Another day trip that we did is not really a day trip. We did like a weekend where we drove 3.5 hours up to Split. And then we also spent some time in Bosnia. But real quick about Split, it also has an old city vibe. It's the more popular city to stay in for people that are looking to go to spend a lot of times on the islands. So it has a huge like port where you can get on ferries, which is what we did. We rented our car in Dubrovnik, went to Split, stayed the night, walked around the city, went to eat McDonald's, hit the mall.
Did we really? I don't remember that.
Right. Well, I was just like, I haven't been to a mall in like months. So we went to one just to see what a Croatian mall was like. And yeah, their McDonald's was very cheap. And then we wanted to go to the island of Hvar, but then our Airbnb host was like, no, it's November. You really go there to like hang by the beach and, you know, eat and drink. You guys should go to Brac instead. And so, which is what we did. He said, go to the top of the hill, check out the view, and then go to this beach on the other side of the island called Zlatni Rat. And it's like, okay. And it turned out to be this gorgeous like peninsula beach thing. Like it was just beautiful. They had a lot of huts with food and drink. And yeah, we played by the beach. It was a little chilly, but it made for a beautiful, beautiful road trip during the day.
Yeah. And it was the same day that we went and I ordered like fried fish, thinking that so naive of me, thinking that I was going to get like the equivalent of like a
fish and chips.
A fish and chips. Yeah. And I literally got like a fish with eyeballs that was just like,
no, you didn't get a fish. You get like 30.
Yeah.
And so that's why I had to eat it all
Yeah.
And you got my like pasta dish or whatever.
Yeah, we switched.
Yeah.
But that island, it was a good tip from our host because since it was the off season, I feel like it had more to see in terms of like nature and beauty. So even though things weren't necessarily bustling, we still had a great day, got to hang out at a restaurant like Colin said, and got to see a lot of beautiful, beautiful views. So
Yeah.
it was a win. There was something in that area before we head to Bosnia.
Yeah.
There was something that we decided not to do, but Croatia's actually really famous.
Right. It's one of the reasons we actually picked going to Croatia is because of their beautiful waterfalls.
Mm-hmm.
And there's two really famous ones. There's one called Plitvice and one called Krka. And they are in, I guess they're in national parks named after the same thing. And Krka is the one that was near to Split. It was like an hour away, but we chose not to go because
I think it was one of those things about timing. Like both of them, I remember looking at our itinerary. I remember being like, okay, we have 3 days. We want to go to Split. We want to experience an island. We also want to drive to Bosnia. And it kind of was just one of those, there are too many things that we want to do and not enough time to do them that we'd actually enjoy them. So like Colin mentioned earlier in the episode, it was kind of like, these are all good things, all good things that we want to do. Our kids are going to not love a waterfall. Like they're not going to appreciate it in the same way that we did.
Right.
Had we had like 5 days and we could have split up the driving. But I think we nixed it just for the sake of time.
yeah. And I think from what I read, you want to go there early before the crowds come anyways. And so to wake up early, go to a waterfall, to not swim in it,
Yeah.
and then come back feels like a very like we're in our 20s and 30s, but not with the kids. And we were like, let's just go to our 7-star hotel in Bosnia and walk around the old city. And that sounded
More fun. But if you have more time and you're planning your itinerary and you have more than 3 days,
Yes.
I definitely think you should try to incorporate at least one of these waterfall stops on your itinerary. Look up pictures of them. They're just beautiful. I mean, I think it's worth going if you have the time.
Yeah. And for geography's sake, if you are flying into Zagreb and you need a day trip to the waterfalls, you're going to be going to the one called Plitvice. And if you're near Split, you're going to go to Krka. And they're both not the same, but both beautiful. All right, Megan, Bosnia. What was it like?
Well, I, like probably everyone, all that I knew about Bosnia was what has been on the news when they talked about the unrest and the war.
Born in 1990, that was my first like education on, this world is not perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I think going in, I was like, I didn't really know what to expect. And again, we spent a very small amount of time there and we visited one place. But I will say it was, on our way into Bosnia, I remember even going to the security checkpoint. They were just like so friendly.
It was actually kind of intimidating and scary.
Oh, I don't remember that.
You don't?
No.
Well, it was also during, COVID era. And so we gave him our passports, on face value, he's super cold. Stamps, asking questions. But then after all of that, then all of a sudden he just goes to, you should stop by the Kravica Waterfalls. Beautiful.
Yeah, that's the part I remember is him
Yes.
recommending another stop.
And we were like, okay.
Sure.
Yeah, we love your country.
So we went there first and it was really pretty. They're beautiful waterfalls. They had all kinds of like little tourist things that you could do to go out in the water and take a romantic
You can
picture.
go in a little gondola and the guy rows you right under the water. And this is like multi-tiered waterfall, not just like one boring old waterfall.
No.
So beautiful.
It was pretty and it was a good stop to get out of the car. Then we made our way to the city of Mostar where Colin said we stayed in a 7-star, which I'm like, after 4 stars, what does 7 stars even mean?
I don't know.
Like, I feel like 4 stars is like, or 5, I don't know even know. But anyway, an incredible hotel. And the first thing that I realized was, wow, everybody still smokes here, and the hotel and mall and restaurants all smell like cigarette smoke. That was something that I didn't expect.
Yes, the 48 hours we spent in Bosnia, I had a headache the whole time.
Yeah.
Just because I wasn't used to secondhand smoke.
Right. And so that's just something to note. So then we spent some time walking around the city, and like in our experience, this part of the world, there was like the old city. Mm-hmm. So there was the place that you could go that felt like things were preserved, that they had more history, and that they were
more Christmas ornaments.
A lot of Christmas, yeah. And there's this famous view with the bridge. What's the bridge?
It's called the Starry Most. And yeah, we didn't know this, but when we got there, we learned that this bridge was, ruined during the war. And we were told that when the bridge got ruined, they went into the river, found all the pieces to rebuild the wall together. Yeah, because this town is like separated by a river in the middle. And so this bridge is like the hallmark center of this town. And it's a gorgeous bridge.
Yeah, and they rebuilt it. And the water is so interesting too, because I don't know if it's because it's coming off of the mountains, but it's like that turquoise,
that glacial blue almost.
Yeah, it was like glacial blue. It was really beautiful. But we ate lunch there. They had outdoor markets where you could do a lot of shopping. It was just really beautiful, and it's kind of nestled among like mountains, like you're kind of right in the middle of all of that. And so it was a really unique experience just to be able to walk around there and experience it. And I would say like we left with a great impression minus the smoke, just because we weren't prepared.
Right. And you remember we went to that restaurant. Be prepared. In this region, like you can eat a lot because food is, again, not very expensive.
Right.
I just remember we stopped on the side of the road at that restaurant and I ordered ribs, and it came like enough to feed like a football team.
An army. Yeah.
And so, great. Try the coffee, try the food, all that. Yeah, we loved it. Great day trip. And again, like all these places, I can't stress enough that rent a car, and just know that in Europe, the cars are a lot smaller than in the US. So pack light, but you can get to all these places via, rent a car. It's so easy.
So easy. And just the significance of being able to visit a country and experience other countries. I feel like that's just that part of the world. Like here in the States, when you're like trying to get somewhere, it's like, wow, I'm driving through Oklahoma for 3 days.
Yeah.
But just how cool it was that we got to live in Croatia, but then experience a little bit of 2 other countries just felt like really cool. Yeah. And I appreciated that so much.
Yep. All right, folks. So we're going to link all our videos from our time there in the show notes. Check those videos out. I'm going to check those videos out. It's been a while since I watched them.
Gosh.
Go check out our Snackpackers Club merch on our website. And again, always leave a rating or a review if you enjoyed this podcast. We'll be back next week with another episode of Did You Pack Snacks? We'll see you then.
Bye.